Greetings, my friend. Father Leo here again, and would like to make a bit of a teaching, a presentation this afternoon, which is particularly important, I think, for Catholic people anyway, and I faint suspicion it might apply in some way to the other Christian religions as well. I don't know, so I'm not going to say. Stick with what I know. Now, one of the words that's been kicked around for the last couple of years is the word clericalism. Clericalism. And when I would hear that word, I would get a bit hostile. Because how I interpret it was, people were saying or writing, get rid of the priesthood. Well, I don't like the idea of thinking that we're totally useless. Maybe we are. Not for me to say. It's up to you, people I serve. But anyway, it did really throw me, like, what the heck is it about clericalism that has drawn the disapproval of so many people, including Pope Francis? So, okay, here we go. And I'm going to, now I ran across an article which somebody sent me because I've been asking people, like, what is clericalism? Is what you just don't like priests? Well, that's possible. But clericalism must have a broader base than that. And now there's Father Peter Daly, whose article I have in my hand. He kind of pictures a word picture of clericalism. And I think it's important that I put that out there. So if you say you're seeing a need to get rid of clericalism in the Catholic Church, you know what you're talking about. And if other people use that word term, and you don't know what it means, or they don't know what it means, that it could mean just get rid of all the priests. No, that's not quite what it means. So let's look at his article. Let's look at them, and we will see where you might agree or disagree, because it is open to your own experience. What kind of an experience have you had over the years of your life with priests, with pastors? What's your experience? And that'll either validate this man's theory or it will not. But that's up to each one of us, depending on our lived experience of relationships with our local pastor over many, many years, and many, many different pastors. So let me read, rather than trying to memorize it and hand it on to you, let me read from Father Peter Daly's article, and then we'll comment on it from there. But let's start with the article. He points out here, clerics, brackets, bishops and priests, are often trained to think they are apart from and set above everybody else in the church. Their word is not to be questioned. Their behavior is not to be questioned. Their lifestyle is not to be questioned. They rule over the church as if there were feudal lords in a feudal society. This is often how they see themselves, lords of the manor, complete with coats of arms, titles of nobility, and all the perks that go with superiority. So that's the point he's making, that somehow the culture we live in, our culture also has a lot to do with supporting clericalism. It really does. I remember when I was newly ordained, I was in a parish, and I heard somebody calling Father, Father, Father. I didn't pay any attention. And then finally it dawned on me, he's calling me. Here he is, a middle-aged man calling a young guy like me in his early 20s, calling me Father. You know, it kind of rocked me. What's going on here? I'm maybe old enough to be your son, but not to be your father. But anyway, it just was a starting kind of experience. And I really had a lot of struggle in getting used to that word, father. Lot of time. Took a lot of time for me to be able to wear that title comfortably, because I certainly in no way felt superior to the people, that's for sure. Then he goes on to say, it is not just clerics who are clerical. So not just clerics. Guess who he's doing now? The laity often foster clericalism by always deferring to, quotation marks, father, putting father on a pedestal. Clericalism is experienced in thousands of words and deeds that add up to a culture. Clericalism shows itself when. So he points out that the laity have been enablers in the culture of clericalism. Enablers. And here's how they do it. He talked with seminarians. Say they are called to chalices, not calluses. And I see that with a lot of, when I was in the seminary, I went home and worked in the farm for June, July, August, September. And I had calluses, hard work, lifting bales of hay all day long, calluses, working on the farm and all the different work that had to be done, calluses, not chalices. Okay. People say, nothing's too good for father, or father never picks up the check. Well, I don't know about that one. I certainly pick up the check most of the time. Most of the time, not always. Fair share, that's all. Priests and bishops spend huge amounts of money, huge amounts of parish and diocesan money on themselves with no controls. Example, redecorating the rectory, building a new Episcopal residence, taking lavish trips at church expense, or giving lavish gifts to each other with church money. So, well, that's what he says. Next, when the priest says, this is my parish, my way or the highway. So feeling ownership. It's like maybe a teacher who said, my students. Well, you're their teacher, but you don't own those students. And a pastor doesn't own the parish. When 18-year-old college seminarians wear clerical garb to set themselves apart. And I certainly knew that one. When I first went to seminary, I couldn't believe I had to put this long black gown or dress on, whatever. They called it a sedan. And then they had to wear a surplice, long white gown. And when I was a kid growing up, I would see priests wearing those, and a lot of them were laced and richly decorated. And I used to say, like, men don't dress like that. And it used to be a joke. For me, it was a joke. That those kind of ornate garments to wear. And I thought, God, if you were much of a man, you wouldn't be wearing those. When parents tell their children, never question a priest. No, never question a priest. And of course, those children grow up, and guess what? They never question a priest, right? When bishops prioritize avoiding scandal over protecting victims of abuse by priests. And certainly we've experienced that here in Canada, where priests have moved from parish to parish to parish, and yes, even from diocese to diocese, covering up. And that has certainly been a sign of clericalism. In other words, he doesn't have to face the courts the same as somebody else would. When thriving parishes are closed because there's a shortage of priests, when there are deacons and lay people readily available to keep the community going, all of those things are symptoms of clericalism. The culture of clericalism can have horrific consequences. And I think we all know the horrific consequences, not just the sexual abuse part, but the many other ways in which control, and that's the name of the game, the control. Who gets in, who gets out, who's the favorite parishioners, who are not. Control of, for example, I read where a writer was saying that the bishops in the States, because of their support of the present president, have a greater loyalty to the state than they do to the church. Well, they got that backwards. And Jesus said very clearly, you can't serve two masters. You cannot serve two masters. And yet, they're trying to serve two masters, and the church is the second in priority. The president and his party are number one. That's so far removed from the gospel of Jesus Christ that it's unbelievable. At least it is unbelievable to me that, and yet I see it, and how silent they are. Those bishops, sure, they're supporting the Republicans, I guess, and not really saying much about racism, especially now with the death of some of the black people in the States. And yet here in Canada, we have racism, abundantly so, unfortunately. We have white privilege. We have homelessness, poverty, oppression of people who don't fit. I think, for example, of the gay lesbian group of people, and how they have been really, I was going to say second-class citizens, closer to fourth-class citizens, and denying them marriage. You know, set up a bunch of rules who can be married, a man and a woman, but no thoughts that, oh, wait a minute, who says you can't have a marriage for two gay men or two lesbian women? Who says? If you can show that to me in the Bible, then I'll believe it. But other than that, I don't believe it. So, okay. So that's clericalism. And I think you can see the harm that it has done. How people have been, they go for baptism and they don't meet the criteria, so they're turned away. A young couple comes for marriage and they want to be married out to the lake, or they want to be married in the backyard. No, can't do it. Why can't you? Why can't you? Go and do it. That's my theory. Just go and do it. Confirmation. How often now we hear stories that it's too regimented. And a lot of kids are saying, I don't want to get confirmed. Or parents are saying, We don't want to be bothered. So it's the requirements are too hard for a lot of couples. And kids are not being confirmed. Like, what's going on? Well, what's going on is clericalism. Control, power, misuse of power. It's all there. It's all there. Now, when it came to myself, I might as well share a little bit of my own story. It's not worth much, but I will. Father Peter Daly in his article talked about superior, clergy feeling superior to the laity. I can tell you one thing, I've always seen myself as a nobody. John Denver, I think, wrote the song, Just a Country Boy. I think it's John Denver, could be wrong. Just a country boy, that's me. That's me. I'm simply a country boy, that's all. And I have no desire to be superior to anybody. However, I have a strong desire to be equal. To be equal. Thee with me, I with people. Equal. And that I walk with them. I walk with the people. Companions on the Journey is a song that we sing. I am a companion on the journey to people, excluding no one. Not just Catholics, but people of other religions and people of no religion. It doesn't matter. They're all my brothers and sisters. And that's the way it is. That's the way I see it. That's my eyes. That's the way I see it. And you know, the fact of the matter is, I never planned on being a priest. It's a part of the thing, because I thought, when I saw the way the priests dressed, and I thought it was so silly. I didn't want to be a part of that. And of course, God interfered in my life and said, Leo, you're called and you're chosen. Get on with it. So, okay, God, I guess I can do that. Called and chosen. Yeah, it was God's idea, not mine. And when I read the Gospels, of course, I met a man I never knew, and that man was Jesus. And I read his stories in the 4 Gospels, and I was absolutely astounded. I didn't know Jesus, or all of this about Jesus, the way of life that he talked about, the vision he had, the way he explained the dream of God. I said, holy mackerel, that's wonderful. That's good news. Let's get out there and bring it to people, the good news, not bad news, not bad news. And Jesus himself said, I came not to be served, but to serve. Not to be served, but to serve. And that's been my lifelong acting principle. I'm never expected the people to serve me. I never did. And I had that drive within me, that love and compassion. We said, serve the people of God. That's why you're here. That's why you've been called and sent. And that was it for me. I think the other thing that I have to look at is that how as a priest we have to be up to date. Now, I wouldn't want to go to a brain surgeon who hadn't learned something new as far as operating on brains. Or if I had a broken leg, I wouldn't want somebody who never studied how to fix broken legs. So there's a mentality that when a man leaves a seminary, he knows everything he needs to know for the rest of his life. That's insane. Especially with now, with evolution, well, science, evolution, creation is the body of God, and that we are humans. We are God become human, and we are the universe becoming rational. Becoming rational. The universe thinks in and through people. So the universe has become conscious in and through us. And so it's really important that priests keep up to date in the message that they communicate to the people of God. Up to date. And, you know, I was a priest for 6 months when I realized that I didn't have it. And I've been a lifelong student in order to serve the people of God. I guess as I think of it this morning, or here this afternoon, it's been 62 years of ministry. It's been an adventure. It's highs and it's lows. It's laughter and it's tears. It's joy and it's heartbreak. And it's more than that. When people laugh, I laugh. When people cry, I cry. And when we cry, God cries. When we laugh, God laughs. And so there is that relation. It's my relationship. Religion is relationship. And that's what's key to it. That I have to be willing and able to become vulnerable, to lay down my life in the service of the people of God, and in doing that, to experience the adventure of life and of living. And I think, now whether I've done that or not, how do I know? The people of the city of Peterborough can answer that much better than I can. But I've tried. I have honestly tried. And that's all I can do. 62 years of ministry. I started out with, I'm going to serve the people. I've tried to serve the people. I've tried to bring love and compassion to my ministry. And now at this stage of my life, I can say, Deo gratias. And for some of your old timers, Deo gratias means thanks be to God. Okay, bye.